You got 3 minutes.
Something on the village
I don't know what it's about, so,
property.
no, it wasn't. I hunt up to my house, I don't go nowhere else. I used to hunt on village property. I'm not gonna say I didn't, kill a lot of bucks on village property.
Hasn't got started yet.
When you going for your hip?
January 22nd.
Let's go.
I can't wait.
Who's in that?
Travis, orthopedics, Travis orthopedics.
Great Lakes Orthopedics.
Great, that's what I got.
Who you got?
No.
Who's your doctor? I got Dr. Peters out of there. He's a really good doctor.
You did yours? Or? You had it done?
Well, usually you do the knee replacement.
Oh.
Brewer went there.
And Morrison's went there, yeah, they're all the same doctors, so it's all the same group, they help each other back and forth on all the surgeries.
All of them have great results.
I had Brophy out of there, he retired.
Yeah. Brophy was someone years ago.
Brophy and her out of Traverse City. Yeah, the Great Lakes Orthopedics is a big place.
Yeah.
They do a lot of surgeries.
And they don't, I walked in there and he looked at it. And I don't know exactly what's wrong. So you need to get,
Take an X-ray right there, come right back and tell you.
You know.
I'm too young. Yeah.
Well, not the line work.
I think technology is so good. It'll probably go 20 years. But the thing is, they have a 2-year rotation for x-rays. If you try to see something on the table, or one of it, like a breakdown.
But they send us emails.
7 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. Please rise, pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to Mr. Patton. Thank you. And roll call.
Here.
Batman,
Here.
Clark,
Here.
Patton,
Here.
Howard,
Here.
Donna,
Here.
Pepper.
Here. Need a motion to approve the agenda of the last, or, I'm sorry. Moved ahead there a little bit. We got couple of changes to the agenda. Under the bills, payables will be $7,959.42. Total will be $28,645.41. And under old business, under budget to subheading DDA budget, so.
Like to see you take it.
Yeah, whatever, it's fine. Be all one conversation before it's over with, so. Need a motion to approve the agenda as amended,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
and second it. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, motion is carried. Need approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
I move to accept.
Second.
We move and support to accept the minutes from the November 11th, 2015 meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried. Any public comment? police report. Scott?
Thank you. Hopefully everybody gets a chance to look at the report. Pretty average for a typical month. Couple things that were kind of unusual. We started putting notices out and reminding people about the overnight parking. Met with Melissa and we kind of started working on phasing out the old computer in the office into a new one. I know we had it in the budget to where we were just going to replace the whole computer, but I think it'd be better off if we just kind of slowly pick away at it and ended up with a new monitor, an external hard drive, and see if that'll keep us rolling for a while. And then maybe next year, possibly a new tower or something like that. So not all this year, so we're gonna kind of split it up as much as we can just to kind of, I think we'll come up with a better solution for what we need, so. A little bit of warranty work on the car, nothing unusual, just a trim piece kind of came loose or whatever, so I fixed it up, so. Nothing else unusual. Bill will report on the new part-time position, so.
Any questions for Scott? DPW, Sam?
Y'all should have a copy of DPW operations for November. Pretty much a normal month of November. The only odd thing on there is number 12, the Ford pickup, the new one went in for a recall notice and it's repaired, so took it up to Fox Charlevoix and they fixed it. Any questions?
Good?
Thank you.
Thank you. Correspondence, I got a letter from the Insurance Services Office. Basically, they came into town, spoke with Mr. Chapman, his fire chief, and I think Mr. Mullins was part of that. They reviewed our water system and whatever, and we met their requirements from my understanding, and we should not see any changes in our insurance rates. So that was one. And you, the council all has a copy of the agreement that I signed with the purchaser of the Hardhorn property on Maple Street. I do have his signature on that. Your copies don't reflect that, but I do have it. So he is proceeding with that, and hopefully it'll be all improved by Memorial Weekend. That's the goal. So, and that's all I have there.
Larry, can I?
Yes.
I forgot. Last winter when we had all the water freeze up,
Yep.
we had a lot of complaints from residents that didn't know we made it to their house, you know, they'd call and we'd say, oh, we'll be there tomorrow or something, and then when we get there, they wouldn't be there. So I went ahead and had some door stickers made up that says Central Lake DPW, sorry we missed you. And then we got lines down here where we can write in, give them phone numbers to call, just in case people aren't home.
Cool. Good.
So this
Thank you very
not
much.
action on this, then, it's just information.
Yep. We made the action last month.
Yeah, that's.
Committee reports. Rob?
Before you, you have the proposed street paving overlays for 2016. Sam and I drove around and we judged streets. Our scoring rubric was there potholes, large amount of potholes that have been repeatedly patched. The second portion of that was the side of the roads collapsing. Third one was how much traffic it gets. So we went through in our top 9 roads in actually a parking lot. So Park Street, which is the old Carpet Barn Street, Brooks Street, which is Mortensen's funeral home, Covert, 88 to Howard, Ballard, Chestnut, Howard, Maple, Old State and Rushton intersection, and municipal parking lot east of the post office. Last year we came out with average of $1.62 per foot. So what I did is went through and measured each street with the wheel and then multiplied that number to get a grand total of $117,000, $471.06. Of course, it's not the new year without a 10% increase in everything. So I added 10% on that, so I got 130,000. I asked Joe to budget 150 on that, just to prepare, because we don't know what the spring thaw will bring us. So that's the way I came up with the number of 150. Melissa talked, and Leland and I talked about it. These are all overlays, so it's gonna save us money. It's not a total rebuilding of the street. We wanna do this now while the base is still good. We don't want it washing out. The other one is the cost of oil right now. If you turn your page over, you can see the chart I gave you. Right now, oil is currently trading at $43.13. A year ago it was $120. So we've got to strike while the iron's hot, get a bid in here, so that way we can get the most bang for our buck. That's why I'm really pushing this and being very aggressive about it. We're also going to save money by not having to go out patching too. The overlays should be around for 15 to 20 years. Of course, I'll be long since gone by then, so that's okay. That is streets. I asked for $8,000 for sidewalks. This sidewalk that we're looking at is the Howard Street between the elementary and high school. The creek runs through it, Covert Creek, so they have to do some modification and building up of the side where the sidewalk's gonna go. I got some images that I'll just pass through, and it shows you exactly what's happening there, so you get an idea on that. Nothing on lights, and that's it.
Rob,
Joe?
on your sidewalks,
Yes.
I didn't get your memo on the 8,000 for new sidewalks.
Well, it's the same as last year.
Okay. I did not put that in that preliminary, so I'll have to rework that, which will put our 101 over by roughly $4,000,
Well,
or $4,200.
so you're looking at page 4 then? I'm on page 4.
Yeah.
101, 70,
When you talked to
20.
me about streets, I
Yeah.
didn't catch the sidewalk thing, so I didn't plan anything this next year for it in the preliminary.
All right,
I mean, it could, obviously, that's just a preliminary numbers, we'd have to go back and rework things anyway, so.
all right. Because then you have to take and go to the 203. So as we have maintenance and repair of the sidewalk there too. Page 9, 203, 497, 7750. So, just so you know where that other one is.
Right, on page 9, you're gonna.
Page 9,
Yep.
7750. We took it out of local.
What did you pull out of local on that?
You did, I didn't. I just, it says local maintenance and repair and sidewalk. 7750 on page 9, halfway down the page.
Okay, I'll get with you a little more on that later then.
All right,
The numbers are gonna have to be reworked anyways, so.
okay. And that's it.
Brian, sewer and water.
I don't have anything, I'd just like to thank everybody for allowing me back on for a while. And things have changed a little bit, but we'll get up to speed here in a month or so, so thanks for allowing me back.
Good to have you. Bill, law enforcement.
As the chief said, the law enforcement committee has agreed to review the applications and agreed to grant interviews to 3 of them. And the interviews are scheduled for December the 15th. And that's at 17:30 hours, so it can interview here, so. And we'll post that
Probably on Friday the 11th.
That's all I have.
Anybody have anything else? Melissa?
Everything that I have is listed under new business for discussion, so I think we can wait.
Okay. Joe?
Been busy working on budgeting stuff. I got with Sam, Scott, and I got with Rachel, looking at the different costs on insurance increases, FICA, workman's comp. Put a preliminary budget together that I gave Rachel today. She made copies of it, or a copy for the office, so she can get one to Larry and he can look at it. And in that budget, basically it's just basic operating expenses of the village. I didn't put in any major projects, except for the streets that I knew Rob was talking about. Sam talked about a generator for the water system this year. I didn't put it in the budget yet, or even look at them numbers until we can get like a estimate or a quote of what that cost would be. But obviously the water system is very healthy. I didn't plan on any increase in the water or sewer, knowing that we normally have a 1%, or I believe our water and sewer rate study is gonna show at one time here in the near future another increase to keep up. So them numbers haven't been dialed in with yet. I talked with the auditors today about some different budgeting aspects that can go with the DDA stuff. I've looked at the 20-year plans that we had built before, and we've made some pretty big changes, done some streets differently than what was in there. So some things have changed. I'd probably get with Sam and the guy, everybody here, and see if maybe we can update that again, get it back into a normal plan there. And then the other question that I would have is, we're coming up on the plans, or our plan when we bought the new trucks was to roll out in 3 to 4 years to keep us in a new operating trucks at no expense to the village. Is the council still looking at doing this, and do they want to get bid prices and see, because I would believe this next year would be the year for that rollout.
Okay.
Other than that, I did also go over all the budget resolutions with the treasurer there.
Okay. Anything else?
It's got me for a response.
Okay. Parks, Leila?
Okay, we already have 115 reservations for the park for next year. We've collected over 17,000, so we're projecting we'll have a good year coming up. Over 41,000 so far that Rachel has done so good on. Other than that, we have nothing going just yet.
Okay. My report's gonna be short, only because later in the agenda, we're gonna address most everything I have to say anyways. I will say that I met with Jennifer Hodges from Gordy Frazier's a week ago yesterday. And Rachel and I met with Dan Leonard from MEDC and answered his questions with respect to clerical type things more than anything, which he was grateful for. And they're working on a final action plan for us, and suspect that within the next couple of weeks we'll get another meeting together to see what comes up. And then I had a phone conversation with Christy Bayes from DNR at about 5:15, 5:30 tonight. And all three of those people had input into our old business of vacating and abandoning part of Lake Street. So I'll save their comments till later. I attended a meeting Monday with the Clio Fund that's going on, and just a footnote to all of that, Central Lake is very fortunate to have that endowment, and within the next 3 or 4 years, I think we can safely say that we will provide the best programming of any community in the state for a child from age 0 to 5 years old. The unique thing about this is that that's sustained funding, it's forever funding. There'll be close to $18 million that will be at the foundation, and it will fund about $700,000 a year in programs for early childhood development from 0 to 5. There's no other community in the state, and I would guess very few in the country that will ever be able to say that. When they went out and a year ago, they investigated all the communities within the state to see who had the best program out there for this group of people, early childhood. They found a few communities, but what they also found is that those programs were tied to grant funding, and when the grants ran out, the programs left, and they were left with nothing. And that's not going to happen here. So I think that's a note that's worth noting, and something that we'll be very proud of here in the not too distant future. So,
How are they gonna determine eligibility for the program?
that I couldn't tell you. I don't know the specifics of that. If you're born in Central Lake or Central Lake Town, Central Lake School District, you're eligible, I think. They're not going to discriminate between anybody. We'll have the funds in order to do that. They did mention that the federal and state programs are tied with restrictions, and the more that they can pool all of that, the less restrictive it becomes, and the more eligible it will also become for those that are born here.
So you have to reside in the district.
That school district will be I think the key. That was her wish, was to provide that for Central Lake kids, so. But it will be something that, you know, if we have families looking to move in, young families, if the jobs, and this is, I'll get into a little bit more of this, but as this Rising Tide program develops, hopefully jobs are gonna come from that. That will be incentive for young families to come back to the community and set up shop here, so. I think we're on a good trend. That's all I have for my report. Motion to approve the bills, prepaids of $15,401.72, payroll of $5,284.27, payables of $7,959.42, total of $28,645.41.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Been moved and supported to accept the approval of the bills. Roll call vote.
Hadley,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes,
Patton,
Yes.
Tyler.
Yep.
Brown,
Yes.
Everett.
Yes. New business, hunting on village-owned property. Scott brought this to my attention right around hunting season, November 15th or so. And I told them to check with Brian Graham, and he has provided with that list. I bring it to your attention. I don't know where you want to go with this, if you want to go anywhere with it. It appears as if there's no community within the state as far as the MML is concerned that allows hunting on village, or on their own property, city or village property. But I guess thoughts and comments.
Scott, did you get a complaint that prompted this?
No, just kind of lately, last week I found the gate open to the dump. So I kind of routinely patrol there. I've been seeing a lot of vehicles parked there. So the question was, I just asked Larry, you know, is it allowed or is not, kind of just a general type of question, which led into talking to Brian. And I guess there's a couple questions as far as, you know, if it is allowed, then what are we looking for? What are we going to watch out for? If it's not, then what are we going to do? So it kind of gave it from two different perspectives on that list there for you, so.
I don't think we should allow hunting on that. The liability alone is gonna jump high.
I think the way this reads, it says you can't, I mean, it says you can, but
Yeah.
it's not,
Right.
it's not advised at all.
Right.
So, I mean, I hate to tell somebody they can't hunt somewhere, that people have been hunting there for how many years, Sam?
I hunted up there for 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to tell people that, but.
Well, and Brian brought up 2 points. I mean, obviously, if you're gonna allow it, there's some questions or concern. I mean, who's allowed to hunt there? Do we have it as something
How
to
you
do
fairly
fairly
select
or?
the rules, the policies, who's gonna, enforce all that stuff?
Sure.
Doesn't the DNR enforce hunting on public land already? Is this just more government on top of government again?
Well, I
It's a hunting community, you're gonna get a lot
That's on state and national land, that wouldn't be.
Do they in the village? No, I don't know.
Well, of course,
That's the question.
Yeah.
according to MML, that, you know, they don't have anybody in the whole state of Michigan that allows on village or city-owned property. Something's different with, you know, county or, you know, state land and stuff like that.
City of Ann Arbor's gonna do it in the village limits. So I'm just saying there's lots of things going on within the state.
And our property's not in the village limits, it's outside. Technically, that property up by the dump is outside the village, but the question is, if they're turning and shooting one direction, okay, but if they're shooting the other direction, we have a school right there, which is a concern. If we're talking about the piece of property outside of town, the 40 acres, who really cares, honestly? But then the other question is, do we want people hunting up, you know, by the big water tower? I don't know, it's a decision you guys have to make, I mean.
If you got 40 acres, you got 20 guys hunting on it.
Well, that was the other question Brian said. I mean, if it's 40 acres, how many people do you allow to hunt there, you know, to do it safely, or, you know, is it your guys' concern who hunts there and who doesn't, and, you know?
I knew this was the meeting I should have skipped.
Well, you know, hunting season's essentially over with this year. Obviously, you can go muzzle load and things of that sort, but,
But yes and no, I mean, hunting season could be
yeah, I know.
rabbit, you know, small game, it could be turkey, could be pretty much anything, so.
But for the most part, deer hunting is what I think it's been used for up there.
Yeah.
There's no way you can monitor it. How can you possibly, unless you have someone up there 24 hours a day during hunting season?
Well, and I
It's
guess
posted, it's posted.
you post it
so
and, you know, at least people
if
would
it's
know whether they're
not
allowed to or not, I
it's
guess.
Posted, I guess.
Does that gate have a lock, or is it just?
But it's got a lock, but people can park at the gate and walk up. Like, the question is,
And that's what they do, they park at the gate and walk up there.
and if it's something that people are hunting up there, I don't want to be up there driving around to check the,
Mm-mm.
you know, if I find the gate open, I'm not driving up there and getting shot or something. But I mean, just, you know, and I'm sure Sam doesn't want his guys up there dumping brush up there if it's going to either be a area of concern for safety or interrupting somebody's hunting. I mean, that's the last thing we want to do is bother somebody while they're hunting, so.
I think the last paragraph there is the key.
Agreed.
The way liability is now, it's never been an issue, but what happens if it does become an issue?
Mhm, That's it.
I thought of a bullet going to the school, seals my vote.
Well, I don't think it's a decision that we have to make tonight. I think it's been brought to our attention and then we can,
I think our most immediate concern is not really relevant at this point because hunting season ending, but it's something that maybe, you know,
I think we ought
should
to
be considered.
keep it on the table and, table it, and keep it on the table for future consideration.
And it might be something you want public input or some kind of
Yeah.
comments too, so.
See, a lot of people probably don't know about the land. And once it's out in the open,
What if somebody's up there now and something horrific happens, where do we stand?
We're not covered.
that's right.
According to your insurance company,
Yep,
they said that?
yep, it says
Okay.
right here, the very last paragraph of this, Connie from the MML Risk Management. Connie stated that the village currently has a $2 million limit on liability, which is not much considering the possibility of issues that may result in this type of activity. Connie also stated that during her 20-plus years of working with the MML, she is not aware of any municipality that allows hunting on their property.
This is a pretty strong letter, and something horrible could happen between now and whenever. I don't know if I could feel good about tabling it.
You only got 2 days of deer season left, if that means anything. 3 days. Closes Sunday. If that means anything.
Put this in action item, we can't take action.
Right. You can't take action on it. That's why I say I don't think that it's an issue that we ought to continue with, but tonight we don't have to.
Okay.
So for the time being, for tonight, we'll let it rest, and we'll come back to it. Rachel would like permission to send out the campground brochures to MDOT. They go to the Claire Welcome Center, Coldwater Welcome Center, Iron Mountain Welcome Center, and Monroe Welcome Center.
And then the ones that
We don't
ran
really
this
need
year.
to act on it, she just wanted to make sure that we all were aware of it and that it was okay with us.
That's the same one you did on the last time we had the brochures?
Mhm.
Sound good? Great.
How many do we send out?
They're asking for, I think, 400 or 450. 450.
Total or for each person, or each
Total.
group? Okay.
There's like 4 different welcome centers.
How many do we have left? We didn't order that many to begin with.
You ordered 500, I think.
Yeah, but there's a lot of, he's already passed out.
But I'll send them as close to
Okay.
what I can.
We can always get them redone again, because Jack up here is the one who did them.
Right.
So I think that's a yes, Rachel.
Yes.
Yes, that's a yes.
Thanks.
Staff and board chairperson reports.
I have more just questions and opportunity for the discussion. It's not really, they're just questions. Regarding the staff and board chairperson reports, we get them from Scott and Sam. Rachel, we used to from the clerk's office, and Corey as the DDA person, and Lyle when he's here. And my question is how can we ensure that staff and board reports that we see those each month?
We request them from them each month. If that's what you want from them, then that's what we'll ask for.
Okay, and the next one I have is, Joe, at one point we talked about evaluation forms and a process for employees. It was in the summertime, I think. I just wonder where we're at. Do we have a completion date, or what's the idea?
I haven't really got with Scott or Sam on any forms. I know that Sam has done them before on his guys, I know that Scott does them on his. And I pretty much looked at it as, because we're such a small company, basically, if there's a problem with one of Sam's employees, he's gonna address it right away and move forward. If there's a problem with one of Scott's, he's going to, or Larry or
Or do we
somebody.
have that for all employees, for Lyle, for Rachel, if we hire a garden person, things like that?
It's never been done in the past that way, so, do we currently have it? No.
Do we need it? That's the other question. Anybody have any comment on that?
Should we have something down just in case there's an unfortunate experience and there has to be a termination? We have
We do have
something
employment
in line on
contracts.
paper, so that way it's just not out of the blue. We have,
We do have employment contracts with each one of them as they come in, and job descriptions. And we act accordingly by that.
We have grievance policies in the SOP manual
Yeah.
already,
Yeah,
for
there's
the
lots of-
For all
proper procedures that
employees,
you
for
gotta
each
take and
person,
we gotta
for the
take.
clerk and
For
the
anybody who's an
campground
employee of the
and-
village, them grievance procedures are the same.
As long as you have procedures, I don't think you need
I don't know, I've never seen one, so I don't know what to say.
It's all outlined in the employee handbooks on their.
So because we've never done it, we think that we don't need to, is that what I'm?
That's not what I'm saying, I'm just saying it hasn't never been
Well,
done.
you know, I'm pretty sure that the county has evaluation forms for their staff, and, you know,
Sam has evaluation forms for his guys, he's done it. Scott does it for his guys.
Well, here's a question.
Rachel's had one before with the old president and myself.
Who evaluates me?
The people.
No, I mean.
I know exactly what you're saying.
The argument could be, I mean, somewhere down the road, if I ever wanted to go to a different department, how would I ever argue the fact that I did a good job for the last 8 years? If I didn't have
Been
a
here for 8 years.
What's that?
Because you've
Because I
been here
survived.
for 8 years.
Because I survived.
I know.
I get a pin that says I survived 8 years.
Get out of jail free card?
No, I don't know.
No.
I'm not saying that they're bad, I'm not saying that at all.
And I do.
Places have them. Has it ever become an issue here before? No. So has it been
Well-
so readily addressed? No.
We did have some issues a few years back, and we should have had it, but we didn't. And I think it's a good idea to have one on file, because this helps the person if they decide they want another job. It shows what they have done.
So Scott, earlier in the meeting you said you were looking at hiring somebody part-time.
Mhm.
Are you, and let's say the whole thing just goes south, and will you have paperwork on this individual stating
Well,
the reason for termination, or is it just?
that's the reason I do it. Because
That's my concern,
It's
if
kind of-
something happens, we have it on paper and A, B, and C were followed through, because you have to have remediation and mediation and all this other stuff before we can terminate, and I'm sure you do that, but it has to be on paper, and that's my concern.
when I hire people, I tell them, we do evaluation just because somewhere down the road, if they ever want to go somewhere else, it's a good paper trail to say, hey, these are their strengths, these are
So
the
we-
weaknesses. And even if there is a weakness, I can show, hey, we talked about it, they improved, it got better the following year, great.
So we have that.
Yeah, and I know Sam's done
Sam
it.
has that too.
I've done them.
Everybody's has to. But I'm saying, what happens if something happens and Scott terminates this person because of poor performance, and they're at will, and they say, well, you wrongful termination suit?
Rob,
They're at will.
in the SOP manual,
Mm-hmm.
it states the proper procedures to go through to do that.
All right,
It's right in handwriting, and every employee that, with the village, at the very end, has to sign that stated they've read it and will agree with it. And then we turn it into the clerk's office.
Alright.
And then
And
they
if they
keep
don't
that book
agree
with them.
with it, we don't have any data that says this person's been a poor employee for a year, what happens?
If you're just looking for a paper trail to terminate people, then obviously you wait till something happens and you use paper trail. If you're also looking for the other side of an evaluation is to show people where their strengths are, I mean, that's the other edge of it, so.
I think that's important, I think we ought to be able to look at employees and say, yeah, this is good.
You could give them a good recommendation for another job, or you could. But you can't do it, she's right though, if you don't have a paper trail, you can't do nothing. You can't say, well, I don't know what they're like, I have no idea.
Scott comes to me and asks me to write a letter of recommendation. I don't need a paper trail to write a letter of recommendation.
No.
No, but if you truly think that I'm doing everything I can at this point, I think you're kind of misinformed. I mean, obviously, every year I should be able to do something better. And if I guess if you're doing a yearly evaluation, that's where you say, hey, this is where your strengths are, here's your weaknesses, or things you can improve on.
Some of the forms I've looked at have those things on there, have they improved, have they got better, have they remained the same, I would just maybe request that the committee thinks about it, looks at it.
I'm not against it, I'd be concerned in how do you truly evaluate
How do you
that? I
evaluate
mean, I don't
that
work with
person?
Scott hardly at all, so how do I evaluate? Larry doesn't work with Scott hardly, Scott manages himself, the council oversees them entirely.
Yeah,
So I
but-
don't know how, I can't sit down and do an evaluation on Scott, because I don't know what
Well,
it
it
does.
wouldn't be your job, it would be the president's job to perform the evaluation,
Okay,
right? I mean, he's the one that employs the staff, none of us.
he oversees the,
Right.
yes, he's their direct supervisor or the day-to-day, yes.
So if maybe Larry's not here in a couple of years and there's another person in and they don't have any data that says, wow, Sam was the greatest guy ever, or Scott was the greatest guy ever. There's nothing that shows a new person that this person is great. It's not just, to can somebody, it's to show what they can do. And I'm pretty confident that other villages do have evaluation forms and procedures that we could bootleg.
If you have a job description, you're expecting people to do things.
And we have job description, so. For everybody.
So how does one determine that, yes, they're doing these things that are in their job descriptions at a satisfactory level?
We don't have that mechanism.
I can't disagree with what they're saying, they're good things, but I don't know, personally, I couldn't make it totally work. The president wouldn't, because the president rolls every 2 years, is that easy too, and I don't know a great answer for it, but I'm not saying that it's not
Well,
a
I'm
good
just
thing, I mean, my
suggesting maybe
company
we put
uses
some
them,
time
so.
into looking into it and seeing if it's a bust, it's a bust. If it's not, then consider it.
So, finance personnel is Joe Bobley, Bill Chapman, and Brian Patton.
And they would be the ones to be looking at it.
And I don't work directly with any one of the guys to be able to truly
No, but here's the thing,
evaluate.
if you go down the job description, I mean, obviously, with Mike, I'll use my job. You and I deal with finance and personnel, so you could comment on things that were directly related to my job as they relate to finance and personnel. And
Okay,
then
and so
Bill could have
Streets and
input.
Sewer would comment on that you patrolled the streets real well.
See, yeah.
Okay,
You're right on track.
I'm with
Well,
you.
and there's even really simple, basic ones, you know, that are, do they show up on time, are they here every day, you know, I'm just talking about
Like
basics. If we
1 to 5
wanted to
basis.
tailor it specifically to a job, that would be okay, but for now, just anything to.
Just for the sake of moving on, I will look into a generic one presented to the council and we'll try to go from there.
I think that's a good start.
Good start.
Sounds good.
Office closure notification.
This one was, we're required to post a note on the door if the office is closed, right? That's a state law or a village law or whatever law that we post on our own front door, right?
Common courtesy more than anything.
But it's not, there's no legal requirement that says that if we're closed, we have to tell somebody?
I don't think so. I'm not aware of it if there is.
Okay, well then I guess that kind of blows my next question, because I was gonna say, if we could post a note on the door, you know, in advance, if the office is gonna be closed on Monday, that we post a note on Friday, and also post it to the Facebook page and the website. And here's the reason why, there was a little lady that, the couple days that it snowed here, and it was cruddy, came down here, the office was closed. If she'd have been able to look on the website or Facebook and find it, she wouldn't have had to travel down here in the crappy weather, so. I'm just looking for some other outlets besides the front door to make sure the folks know that we're not open.
We've got hours for the office to be open.
Well, that's true, but there's been times when the office is closed and there was just a note on the door, so. Just asking for
Would you take
supplementation.
time out, do you leave a message on the recorder?
I usually get my calls forwarded to my cell phone when I leave, so if anybody calls, I can answer. But right now, I'm getting very close to my due date, so, and I have to make my doctor's appointments, and they're not open on Fridays where my hours are flexible. So I have to get there before they close at 4 o'clock. And I try to push out my appointments as far in the afternoon as I can, so I can make those appointments.
I've never seen one yet where there wasn't a notice on the door. There's almost
Right,
always.
no, that's what I'm saying, they're on the
Facebook,
door,
actually.
but a lady that comes down here and finds a note on the door.
We could pick
If we
apart
could put
that kind of
something
thing.
on,
I'm not saying, I think we do take every opportunity that when it's thought of. Sometimes it gets missed, sometimes it's an oversight
no,
or
that's what I'm
whatever.
saying, if we could have some sort of consistency and understand that if the office is gonna be closed, that
So
it
we
goes
just say,
on, a note on the door, Facebook notice, and the website.
when you know you're gonna be gone, make sure there's a notice on the door, and make every effort to put something on Facebook. If some things will get
Use
missed.
our Facebook pages, office closures.
Do we still have that calendar on the website too? The Google thing? Okay, alright, cool.
I always put a note on the door.
Right, I'm not arguing the note, Rachel, I've seen the note, but there's circumstance, if we've got Facebook and a website, let's use it. Let's let people know, let's save the old lady from driving down here and finding out that we're closed. It could happen. Okay, that's it.
And there is a drop off in front of the building if somebody needs to leave something. Or they can slide under my door like most people do. If I'm not here, if I'm out to get the mail or something.
That's another question for another day. Okay, the Main Street program, I asked Rachel to include a copy of the Main Street information in everyone's packet. I think that this has got, what's that? Oh, the Lake Street. At any rate, this is, Brian, you probably haven't seen this before, and I'm guessing it's been a while since you guys freshened up on this a little bit. Where we stand with the Main Street program now is that if the council decides to still take part in this, we need to write a new resolution. So I'm asking that everybody just kind of takes a peek at this and come back next month with questions or concerns and be ready to make a resolution if that's what council decides.
Wasn't the DDA working this initially?
Yes, it was.
This was their program?
Mhm.
So this is still a DDA program, then they just need to have a new
council needs to decide if it wants to make a resolution to
for the,
to
that.
restart the program essentially.
Has anybody done any research on why some of the surrounding communities have dropped it?
I have not.
I mean, I'd be interested. in
What
knowing,
surrounding
do we wanna
communities
pick
are
it
you
up?
suggesting? Charlevoix, they're pretty strong in it. Boyne is very strong in it.
Boyne is huge in it.
Grayling
I
is
believe East
doing
Jordan
really
is
well
going to
at it,
drop
so-
Elk Rapids.
Very expensive program.
It's a very, yeah, from what I understand, very, I'm just curious, I've heard of other communities dropping it.
Well, this
because
is
it
the
didn't work for
latest
them.
one, and we've got Boyne City, East Jordan, Central Lake, Gaylord, and Charlevoix, Kalkaska and Grayling. Charlevoix, Boyne, Gaylord, and Grayling, to my knowledge, are all performing strongly. I am not familiar with what Kalkaska is doing. Central Lake,
This was as of 2013 and 14.
right, it's the latest one off the website,
Okay.
off the Main Street Program website.
I'm just curious, because I've heard from some other people that it was dropped, because it just, again, it was an expensive program and just didn't fit their downtown area. But I think that's a great way for the DDA to look into and find out.
Agreed. But I wanted you guys to have this and have a peek at it, because there's some really good information, there's some good things about this program that I'm down with, so. That's all I have.
Action item, resolution number 2, 2015, adjust the budgets, so we don't have any overruns.
If anybody has any questions on it, I went over it pretty in depth with Rachel there the other day.
Is this for like year end, or is this
Er,
changes for next year?
Periodically, we adjust our budget as we've spent more
Okay.
throughout the year, or we've changed. For example, the $5,500 credit on the top casino revenues and the miscellaneous income, then we're combined to go into the purchase of Scott's police car rather than being in casino revenues and miscellaneous income. The same as trustee salary, there was money left over after paying all the trustees for the year, so why not move that into a place that's better location to.
So this is like a year end adjustment, or?
Periodically, when Rachel goes through every so often, she'll balance everything out, she'll see where we're over and where we're not. We'll make these from time to time, just as she follows the budget through.
So on old business, B, budget, is that,
That's next year's budget. is what
Okay.
that's-
okay, so this
This is
is,
for the current year,
And-
yep, just to keep
okay.
everything on
all
track.
right,
So
very good.
it's more for the auditors than it is us. We know we're not spending money we don't have, but the auditors like to see this, it makes it
Got
easier
it,
for them
okay,
to track.
thanks, Joe.
I would make a motion that we approve resolution number 2 of 2015, budget amendments.
Second.
Been moved and supported, any further discussion? Roll call?
Rogers,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Tyler.
Yep.
Rowland,
Yes.
Becker.
Who did the second on that? Was it Chapman?
I think it was both of
She
us.
did. Both did.
Go, Bill, Bill can have.
I heard Bill.
Okay.
More action items, old business. Vacating and abandoning part of Lake Street. This pertains to our grant monies for the park. Corey Fraser brought to our attention that the old plat, the original plat for the park area, Lake Street, which encompasses our project, the plat was never revised to show that it was vacated, yet it was vacated. The current bathroom, bathhouse, campsites on the south side of the creek were all developed with none of us even being here, most of us probably not in the community. And I said to myself, this is ridiculous, we own the road, we shouldn't have to abandon the road. And essentially, we already abandoned the road because it was developed by our predecessors. So, I met with Jennifer Hodges a week ago yesterday and explained my frustration. Asked her to get in touch with Christy Bass, who's the DNR contact for our grant. And when Rachel and I met with Dan Leonard from MEDC, we got all done answering his questions, and I proposed, or asked, that he read the letter that we have from our attorney with regard to this issue. And he read it. I summarized it for him to say Lake Street was abandoned years ago, not officially, but the village built on it, the current bathhouse, developed the campsites, and I said, it just seems to me like this is a bureaucratic requirement that's gonna end up costing us potentially close to $10,000 and delay our grant project possibly up to 3 years. And he says, that doesn't make much sense to me. He says, but I know the head of the DNR for Northern Michigan, who is in Grayling, and let me give her a call and I will pose this to her. He made the call while he was in our office last Wednesday. He called me back Monday morning and said, I've spoken with the lady, I don't remember her name. Explained the situation, and she says, well, I'm going to Lansing and I will inquire. Today at 5:15, I get a call from Christy Bass from the DNR, and she goes through telling me that she didn't have the resolution that we were supposed to have passed, that she didn't have the 8.5 by 11 maps with red lines of the full project, and then she said, she started to talk about this Lake Street issue. And it was clear to me that she didn't understand what was going on. So we had a very pleasant conversation. She did find the resolution that we passed. She did find the maps with the red lines. And we did not sign them because they were sent directly from Gordy Frazier's to her email. So she emailed them back up. Rachel and I have signed them and we've emailed them back. She says, now that I understand the issue, I will talk with my supervisor tomorrow and we'll see what we can do. My feeling is we won't have to abandon Lake Street. So,
Don't spend
and we can just move forward as planned. So, none of it made sense. And once it was explained, it didn't make sense to them either. So,
Well,
that's where we stand as of 5:30 tonight.
that's all great, but just try to, head everything up. If they do come back and say we still have to abandon, would we be further off to push the bathhouse forward or to the side a little bit to take it off of Lake Street?
No,
So then we don't have to worry about
they're gonna require
that
they're gonna
abandonment
require regardless. That's not the issue. The issue is that it was never legally abandoned. And we're building on it. Well, we've already built on it before any of us
Right.
were on this board years ago. There's only 2 private property owners that adjoin Lake Street in the original plat. And they built since the improvements were made to Lake Street. So they really shouldn't have any issue with it because it was there before they built. So I just think it's a moot point, and we'll find out tomorrow for sure. If we do have to do it, my question to Dan Leonard was, okay, I think we can get this done within our 3 to 4 month time period. But the problem seems to be when you send that to Lansing, it can sit there for 6 months to 2 years. And I said, that's ridiculous. We would have to shelf our grant project for that length of time. And I said, that's not right. And that's initially what I asked him about. If we can get our end of it done, can they just get it through the system so we can still do our project next spring? But I think it's coming back to us to say that we don't have to do it. So that's what I'm hoping for. Thoughts and prayers tonight, we'll find out tomorrow.
Just pray a little harder.
Thoughts and prayers, great.
Didn't the original bathhouse use DNR money as well? There's
I
a,
don't
yes,
know.
so, there's a plaque on the side of the bathhouse that says built with DNR money.
Yep, trust, by the DNR trust fund.
Yeah.
At that time, they didn't worry about it, that's all.
Well, I mean, it's,
If
so.
that's the case, that's more ammunition for us.
Ah,
It is, there's a plaque on the side of the
I
building.
wasn't aware of that.
Wonderful, that's great news.
oh,
actually.
that's
That's
great.
very good news.
Actually, I have the paperwork down to the garage too, Larry, on it.
All right.
Great.
Well, we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yes.
And if we have to, we'll have to dig up the paperwork and take a picture of the plaque and go from there. So,
They got the picture, we had to send it to them when we applied for the grant.
Oh, yeah, that's how I know it's there. 'Cause, yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't that house back.
Rob said, I know it's there because I.
okay, the last item under old business is the 2016-17 budget. Though it just says budget, it's for next year's budget. I gave everybody a copy of the line item last month for your review. Any questions, comments, anything that you think we ought to address or not address that we did or whatever? This is just an open forum. Corey's gonna talk about the DDA. Scott and Sam are here, they can talk about what they would like. I don't think we need, there's no decisions being made tonight, there's some information setting. Come January, that revised budget will be as firm as we can get it to that point, and we will tweak it further if we have to. But the goal is come February 1 or February meeting is to have the public hearing for the budget and pass the budget at that meeting. Our fiscal year begins March 1st, and that's what we are required to do. So, anybody want to talk about anything on the budget? We're 78% through the budget year, 22% remaining. So, those figures, as far as I'm concerned, are important, because as you read through it, it will tell you what percentage of the budget remains. If there's only 10% and we have 22% of our year left, we could probably have an issue. So if not, if everything looks good, Corey, if you'd like to.
On this one, though, on this revenue and expenditure from last month, will actually change slightly because of the budget amendments that we made today. So that will change a lot of them percentages, so we can't necessarily go on it. One that did stick out at me, and knowing that what we have going with the abandonment of the street and all the other stuff, is we are just about through our legal fees. We're looking at,
Couple $100.
yeah, just a few $100s left in our legal fees, so it's just, that's the one that sticks out at me pretty good, and we almost doubled that, or we did double that from the previous years.
I'll take responsibility for most of that.
Oh, yeah, we've got a lot of stuff that we've got to do, so. But so, if,
But that legal fee will jump up if we do have to abandon the plat. So that's $5,000 there. So, we don't need. Corey, I'll let you talk.
Did everybody get a copy of the proposed DDA budget for 2016?
No.
I didn't know.
No.
I just got one when I got here, because I asked Rachel if she had seen one.
Okay, well, we have a proposed budget that was passed at our last meeting. I'm not entirely sure, I'll just give you the idea of the different projects we're looking at for 2016. We're looking at the farmer's market for downtown, lamp post flags for downtown, the 32 lamp posts that are down through there. Hopefully taking a little flowers again this